Ryan Reynolds here from Mint Mobile. With the price of just about everything going up during inflation, we thought we'd bring our prices down. So to help us, we brought in a reverse auctioneer, which is apparently a thing.
Mint Mobile Unlimited Premium Wireless. How to get 30, 30, bit to get 30, bit to get 20, 20, 20, bit to get 20, 20, bit to get 15, 15, 15, 15, just $15 a month? Sold!
Give it a try at mintmobile.com/switch.
$45 upfront payment equivalent to $15 per month. New customers on first 3-month plan only. Taxes and fees extra. Speed slower above 40 gigabytes. See detail.
Welcome back, everybody. It's Monday, November 25th, 2024. Born on this date in 1940, soul singer Percy Sledge of Leeton. Today we have reporter Joseph D. Bryant on the show to give us the lowdown on the lowdown politics of Tarrant, Alabama. First, we have Senator Katie Britt's new role, the odds for the Iron Bowl, and the passing of an accomplished quarterback and longtime dentist. My name's Ike Morgan, and we're down in Alabama. Alabama's Katie Britt just picked up a little more clout in the United States Senate, reports AL.com's Heather Gann. Britt will be one of 5 vice chairs on the National Republican Senatorial Committee. South Carolina's Tim Scott will chair that committee. The NRSC's task is to get Republican members elected or re-elected to Senate seats. See, Britt will be among those with the responsibility, through fundraising and strategy, of keeping or growing the incoming GOP majority. Well, after this past weekend's games, we might have a 3-loss Alabama football team and a 6-loss Auburn football team, but indications are they will go ahead and finish out the season nonetheless, just to make things official. Well, sarcasm aside, there's still plenty to play for. Alabama still has an outside shot at a playoff berth if the stars really align for them, and Auburn will be playing to become bowl eligible. Plus, as much as college football may have changed over the past couple years, the regular season still ends with the granddaddy of all rivalry games, the Iron Bowl. Now, what does the smart money say this week? AL.com's Matt Stahl reports that Circa Sports released an opening line yesterday, giving Alabama the nod by 11 points. And the over-under for the Iron Bowl, that's where the bettors set their expectations for the total points scored, was at 52.5. The Tide and Tigers kick it off at 2:30 p.m. Alabama time Saturday at Bryant-Denny Stadium in Tuscaloosa. You can watch it on ABC. The quarterback for Auburn's 1957 national championship team has passed away, reports AL.com's Craig Stevenson. Lloyd Nix played high school ball at Carbon Hill in Walker County. Only 5'10" and 165 pounds, Nix led the Tigers to a 10-0 season during that championship year. They beat Alabama 40-0. The next season, Nix led the SEC in total offense. Now, after college, he served in the Air Force and then practiced dentistry in Decatur for more than 3 decades. Lloyd Nix was 87 years old. The town of Lipscomb's government has effectively shut down, reports AL.com's Joseph D. Bryant. The shutdown comes after the latest raid on Jay's Charity Bingo in an electronic bingo crackdown by Alabama Attorney General Steve Marshall. The AG has sued to freeze the bingo business's assets and has named Lipscomb as a defendant in the crackdown. Now, Lipscomb Mayor Tanya Baldwin said bingo operations brought in vital revenue for the city. Now, complicating matters here is tension between the mayor and city council that may make it more difficult to find a way out of the situation. Look for city leaders to meet this week to try to figure things out. Now, I mentioned that Joseph D. Bryant is reporting on that story, so look for his work going forward. Also, Joseph's going to join us on the second segment today to talk about another central Alabama town with a local government crisis. Actually, Tarrant's crisis might dwarf all other small town crises, so you don't want to miss that. Y'all stay with us.
Empower your business or digital agency with Bluehost, trusted by over 5 million WordPress users globally. Bluehost features top-to-bottom hosting optimizations designed specifically for WordPress, giving you 24/7 access to a team of experts for support, plus thousands of WordPress help articles. So if you want to streamline WordPress website creation with intuitive controls and premium support, choose Bluehost, powering over 2 million websites worldwide.
How about listening to the sounds of Istanbul? Beautiful, isn't it? But you can't discover the coolest city in the world just by listening. Check istanbul.goturkiye.com now and plan your Istanbul trip today.
Hey, folks, thanks for staying with us. We're going to welcome back to the show Birmingham area government reporter Joseph D. Bryant. But first of all, in a world where local news media are working like crazy to find their places and their business models in a digital world, we really ought to be grateful to have someone like Joseph, who's probably the reason people know as much as they do about why your water bill's going up, why Bessemer's going to pay its mayor more than anybody else in Alabama, and who got the $1 million BJCC work contract. But it's just, I just wanted to say that because it's imperative that we keep pounding these beats. Welcome to the studio, Joseph.
Thank you, Ike. Glad to be here.
You know, we've carried some of the news that you've reported that's come out of the city of Tarrant over the past couple of years, specifically that the mayor and city council do not get along, like at all. And also that the mayor and police chief have had an adversarial relationship. Can you just give us the background on where we got to where we are now, like leading up to these most recent developments?
Sure. I think I guess it's to say that the mayor and council don't get along is a polite way to put it. There is a total breakdown in relationships between the mayor and the council. You can call it antipathy. You can call it hatred if you like. The mayor, Wayman Newton, is the mayor. It's a small town. Tarrant has 5,000 residents. So it's a mayor and 5 council members. They all sit and vote together. When he first took office, the mayor had a majority support of the council members. Since that time, he has lost all support of all council members. So it has created a stalemate in government where no major legislation or movement is really passed City Hall. Everything's at a stalemate. That's because we've had a conflict between the mayor and the police chief, whom he has fired several times, who the council brought him back several times. We have a fire chief who was fired several years ago. He is now brought back, so now we have 2 fire chiefs in this small town. So again, everything is at a stalemate, and it goes to the personnel board, Jefferson County, and we're a frequent visitor at the Jefferson County courthouse as well, with multiple lawsuits going back and forth.
Well, how in the world do you end up with 2 fire chiefs? What, I mean, are they, so they're both officially there. Can you talk a little bit more about that?
Sure, and I'm going to give you a $5 response to a $20 question. Okay, so what happened is the mayor maybe 2.5, close to 3 years ago, fired the former chief, and the city hired a new chief. Okay, problem is some procedural things were challenged with the Jefferson County Personnel Board. That's the board that oversees most of Jefferson County municipal employees, most of them. So there was a lawsuit from the old chief, an appeal to the personnel board. Fast forward, the personnel board recently said the notification of the mayor's firing of the old chief was improper. Therefore, the old chief is technically still the new chief, the current chief. So we have 2 chiefs, and the city council has to decide whether to properly terminate the old chief, which will result in some lawsuits, or pay him his back pay, his lawyer fees, and he also wants to stay for 2 more years, technically still on the city payroll at a cost of about $500,000. But he doesn't want to be the fire chief. He says the current chief is doing a good job, so therefore we have 2 fire chiefs and a $500,000 demand letter.
Well, at least the fire chiefs sound like they get along a little bit.
They do. It was interesting at the last council meeting. The first thing he said, the chief number one said, "I have no problem with chief number two. Patrick Bennett is the current chief. He said, I have no problem with Patrick. I hired him, by the way," the former chief said, "and I want him to continue to serve." He said, "Make me go away." That's what the former chief said. "Pay me my money, make me go away." So now the council has to decide what they're going to do. You know, do you officially fire him? Do you pay him off? There's going to be there's a lingering $500,000 question, and it all goes back to the lack of communication between the mayor and the council. At the last meeting, the one that you heard all the contentious rhetoric and epithets and everything else, there was an executive session, but it was probably the shortest executive session in history, because they apparently they went to the back room. I was there. They stayed for maybe 5 minutes and came right back. The council member and the mayor both said, the mayor declared the executive session was fruitless because no one would talk to me. So they came back in front of the dais and took no action.
Now, there has been some ugly language, and they could argue about context and all this, but how much of a racial component is there to this, or is most of it more personal than that even?
Both. On the count again, Tarrant has gone through a transition over the last several years from being a majority a white town to a majority minority black community, and with a sizable Latino population, and still a sizable white population that is aging. Therefore, the demographics on the council have changed. You have Mayor Newton is the first black mayor after Mayor Tuck had been mayor for decades. So it's a generational, it's an ethnic shift, and a lot of this is a total demographic shift. So the council represents that change in demographics. You still have several white members, 3, and you have 2 black members, and of course the mayor is African American as well. So when they first came back to the day, it's the new council with one longtime member, Mr. Bryant. No relation to me, but Tommy Bryant. So the mayor had a coalition of support among the black members and the white members. Over time, before I came on board, that disintegrated, and now he has a quorum of hate on the council because they are universally opposed to everything he presents. So one thing that is certain: if he presents it, it's going to fail. So the racial element comes in when the mayor has accused Councilman Bryant, who is about 80 years old, a white gentleman, of using racially charged language. That's a he said, she said. Councilman Bryant says he didn't say those things. The mayor insisted he has said it more than once, and the mayor has recounted that publicly, as you know, on video multiple times. So there is some racial element, but for the most part, the council is united against the mayor, both black and white members.
Is this affecting city services at all, or how is it trickling down to the citizens of Tarrant, other than just embarrassment?
That's what's important, Ike. I mean, we can. It's political fodder. Otherwise, just talking about political drama and palace intrigue. The issue that really is important once you get past the headlines and the Snickers is significant progress is stifled and stymied in this small town. Tarrant is a small blue collar kind of hard scrabble community with great bones. However, it has good infrastructure, but it's lacking a commercial center. It has a strong industrial base, but at this point, to modernize the city is going to take some unity, and that is not happening. Residents come every meeting and they demand services like what happens to this ditch or this thing? It's not getting paid. This is not getting done. So residents at the core are complaining for the lack of lamenting the lack of leadership and services. Yet at the last meeting, after all the drama, one of the residents said people just talk out in the meetings. But one lady said, as they were arguing, "Hey, you all are fighting the police chief, but my house was shot into 2 years ago, and there's been no update on who shot into my house. What about me?" That's what the lady was saying. What about the needs of the residents? The last person who spoke said the same thing. She says, "I'm not going to point fingers at you, mayor, or you council. each of you as our city leaders have failed us, and you're all to blame for this. We need you to think about us. It is bigger than your political squabbles or your fight for power. Think about the residents. So you're right. At the core of things, the residents are the ones who are suffering.
In that moment, I just thought of our national politics and squabbles and thought, as crazy as Terrence sounds right now, it may be more, more par for the course, I guess. Has anyone talked about going outside of Tarrant? I mean, is there whether it's recall elections or appealing to the governor for help or somebody to come in as an intermediary or whatever, or is it this mostly going to be something that has to ride out to the next election?
The biggest thing I can say is the elections are next year. Everybody's up for re-election. So I think the public will have to decide, how they want to proceed. As you know, Alabama is very rigid about recall, and there are a lot of. It's very rare in Alabama that we recall anyone. I wrote a story several months ago. There's a petition to recall the mayor. I'll check back and see what the status is. It hasn't moved, but it's very rare without someone committing a felony or getting convicted of a crime to actually remove a mayor. I remember it happened in several years ago in Fairfield. The mayor was removed because the council successfully argued that he abandoned his office. Well, Mayor Newton has not abandoned his office. As a matter of fact, he's suing to keep the power of the mayor in the mayor's office. So he has not abandoned an office. So I think the citizens have to buckle up and wait until the next election to make a decision. You asked about the intermediary. That has not been brought up, but I've seen cases where Jefferson County commissioner who's over a certain area will come in and try to bring people together. I've witnessed that in other cases, like in Fairfield, that case I just mentioned. But that has not been put on the table, at least as far as I know, at this point for Tarrant.
Maybe that nobody wants to touch this.
I think you're right. I think there's always some deference to municipal leaders. Like, you don't want to go into their home business, let them handle it as a family, but it's not going to be handled. Frankly, I've asked on both sides. I've asked both sides, can this be fixed? Can this be repaired? And people from both sides have told me flat out, no, it cannot.
Oh, great. Well, there's so many pieces to this. There's so much to it that's going on. Is there anything we've left out that you need to tell me that I should have asked about?
No, you asked good questions. I enjoy talking to you. One thing that's important that we're going to come back and examine further with all the various lawsuits. You'll see the links. There are various lawsuits, and the city's on the hook for these legal fees and these awards. And if you look at Tarrant again, it's a very small town, and the budget of Tarrant is about $12.5 million. That's a healthy budget for a small community, but can the city absorb all these lawsuits? You got a $500,000 demand letter, and once you get finished with all the expenses, according to a proposed budget, the fund balance, which would be the savings after expenses, comes to $30,000. So can this city really afford? The answer is resoundingly no. They can't. The city cannot afford to go continue all this litigation and pay legal fees. So we'll examine that issue later. Now, the budget I just quoted to you is unofficial. You know why? Because the mayor and the council cannot agree to have passed an official budget for the last several years. Oh yeah. So those numbers I gave you are unofficial numbers.
Well, everything's unofficial for the next year. It sounds like.
I think you're right. Absolutely. It's a stalemate to 2025.
Wow. Tarrant, Alabama, and its troubles. Joseph D. Bryant, thank you so much for coming on the show again and talking to us about this and helps square it up in our brains a little bit better.
Thank you, Ike. It's been fun.
All right. And thanks everybody out there for listening to us. We are going to be back here bright and early in the morning. Until then, y'all come on by anytime you want to. See what we're working on at al.com.